She called the cops and screamed, "Arrest them. They're trespassing on HOA property." Her voice echoed through the quiet suburban street. But the thing was, we owned the house. Every inch of that land had my name on the deed. My wife Emily froze mid-step, her coffee cup still in her hand while I stood by the fence we'd been repairing since morning. The woman, neighbors called her Karen, marched toward us, waving a stack of papers like she was some kind of law enforcer. "You're not allowed to make any changes without HOA approval," she snapped, shoving a notice against my chest. The paper looked official, but the logo was crooked, printed off some home computer. I tried to stay calm. "Ma'am," I said, "there's no HOA here. The last one dissolved years ago," she smirked. "Oh, it's back. And I'm the acting president." Emily raised an eyebrow. "That's not how that works." Karen's face turned red. "Don't get smart with me. You people think you can just move in and do whatever you want? Not in my neighborhood." There it was, the line that made my blood run cold. I took a breath. I'd promised Emily I wouldn't lose my temper again after what happened back in the service. But when she pointed at our truck and shouted, "If you don't stop right now, I'll have that thing towed and both of you arrested," I felt my jaw tighten. She actually did it. She called 911 right there, screaming about armed strangers in her community. 2 minutes later, sirens echoed from the main road. I glanced at Emily, who just sipped her coffee calmly. "Let her dig her hole," she whispered. When the police car pulled up, Karen ran to them, tears ready, claiming we were dangerous, that I'd threatened her. The officer looked at me, one hand resting on his holster. "Sir, can I see some ID?" he asked. Before I could answer, Emily stepped forward and handed him a badge. Not a driver's license, a federal ID card with a gold emblem that made the officer's eyes widen. Karen's voice cracked mid-rant when she saw it. The air went silent. The officer straightened up and looked from Emily to me. "Ma'am, are you—" Emily gave a calm nod. "Yes, Special Agent Emily Harris. And you might want to check who filed that false report." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time, she looked small, very small, and I knew right then. This was just the beginning. HOA, Karen called the cops when we refused her HOA, then froze when she saw my wife's federal ID. Karen's fake confidence melted fast, but she still tried to talk her way out. "I didn't know. I just thought," she stuttered, clutching that forged HOA paper like it could still save her. The officer gave her a look that said, "Don't even try." Emily didn't raise her voice, but her tone cut like glass. "You called the police on a federal agent and her husband, claiming we were armed trespassers. That's a serious accusation." Karen blinked fast, stepping back. "Look, it was a misunderstanding. I was just trying to enforce neighborhood standards." She kept glancing around like the neighbors might appear to defend her, but all the blinds were half shut. Everyone was watching, no one was helping. The officer turned to me. "Sir, you said this HOA doesn't exist?" "Hasn't existed in 8 years, I said, pulling out the deed from my toolbox. "County records confirm it. She's been taping fake HOA letters on people's doors for months." The cop nodded, scribbling notes, but Karen suddenly switched tones. "You people don't belong here," she hissed, low but sharp enough for Emily to hear. "This neighborhood has rules, real ones." Emily's expression didn't change. She just took a slow step forward. "Lady, I enforce federal law. You're breaking 3 right now." The officer sighed. "Ma'am, I need you to stay right here while I run your name." That's when the twist hit. Karen tried to grab her phone and sneak away. But before she could take 2 steps, a black SUV rolled around the corner and stopped behind the patrol car. Emily glanced at it, then smiled faintly. Karen frowned. "Who's that?" Emily didn't answer. The door opened and 2 people stepped out in dark suits, scanning the scene. The taller one nodded at Emily. "Ma'am, we got your signal." Karen's face went pale. "Signal? What signal?" I crossed my arms. "You really shouldn't mess with people when you don't know who they are." The officer looked confused now. "Agent Harris, what's this about?" Emily opened the folder she'd been holding since morning and pulled out a photo, grainy surveillance footage of Karen taping fake notices to mailboxes around the block. "Meet your neighborhood HOA president," Emily said quietly, "also known as the woman under federal investigation for mail tampering and property fraud." Karen took a shaky step back. That's fake." The agent from the SUV interrupted her. "We've been tracking this scam for months. You just made it easy for us." For the first time, Karen didn't have anything to say. She just stood there trembling, realizing this was way bigger than her little game of control. She thought she ran the neighborhood until the real agents showed up for her. Karen's knees almost buckled when she saw the agents walk toward her. She tried to stand tall, but her voice came out in a shaky whisper. "You can't just, this is harassment. I was trying to keep the neighborhood safe." The taller agent stopped just inches away. "By faking federal documents, by filing false reports, you've been impersonating an HOA that doesn't exist. You've been scamming your neighbors, Ms. Carter." Her eyes darted toward me, then Emily. "You set me up." I folded my arms. "No, you set yourself up the moment you called fake cops on us last month." The agents exchanged a glance. "She called fake cops?" Emily nodded. "We didn't have proof until today. That's why we waited." The officer beside them frowned. "Wait, you mean last time those weren't real officers?" "Not even close," Emily said. "She hired 2 guys off Craigslist, paid them to enforce HOA policy. They showed up with fake badges and tried to evict a family down the street." Karen's face went red, then white. "You can't prove that." That's when I pulled out my phone. "Actually, we can." I hit play on a video I'd recorded weeks ago, the 2 men arriving in a beat-up SUV, flashing phony badges and Karen directing them like she was running a sting operation. The officer leaned in to look. "That's unbelievable." Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the phone, but the agent caught her wrist. "That's enough," he said firmly. "You're under investigation for impersonating federal authority, mail tampering, and harassment." She yanked free, shaking. "You don't get it. This is my neighborhood. I built this place. These people listen to me." Emily's calm tone cut through the chaos. "You built fear, not community." Karen's eyes were wild now. "I was protecting them from people like you." "People like us?" I said, stepping closer. "You mean homeowners? Veterans? Families who work hard and just want peace?" Her lips trembled, but she didn't answer. The agent read her rights as the other neighbors slowly opened their doors. Phones were recording now. Her voice cracked when she said, "You'll regret this."
"All of you will."
The SUV door closed behind her, and just like that, the self-proclaimed HOA president was gone. Emily exhaled, finally relaxing. "You okay?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," I said, watching the SUV drive away. "But something tells me she's not done yet." She thought she could fake an HOA until the real law showed up at her door. That night, the neighborhood was quiet. Too quiet. You could feel it in the air, that strange tension after chaos. I sat on the porch watching the flashing red lights disappear down the road. Emily was inside, still talking to the agents. I thought it was over. But deep down, I knew people like Karen don't go down without one last swing. Around midnight, a noise came from the driveway. I stepped out, flashlight in hand. My truck door was open, glove box dumped out, registration papers scattered. Someone had been inside. "Em," I called out. She came running, badge still clipped to her belt. "She's back," I said quietly. Emily scanned the yard with her flashlight. The bushes near the fence moved just slightly. "Don't," she whispered. "Let her come out." A figure rose from the shadows. Karen. Her hair was messy, makeup smeared, like she'd been crying or worse. But her eyes burned with rage. "You ruined everything," she hissed. "Do you know what you've done?" "I was this close to getting the HOA reinstated officially." Emily stepped forward, calm but cold. "By forging signatures and stealing documents from the county office." Karen laughed, this low, broken laugh. "You think you've won? I've got friends, real ones. City council, zoning board. They'll bury you in paperwork before you can even breathe." I tightened my grip on the flashlight. "You broke into my truck." "That's felony number 4 tonight," she ignored me. "You don't understand. This neighborhood needs control. Without me, it'll fall apart. People like you ruin everything." Emily reached for her radio. "You're done, Karen. This isn't control, it's obsession." But Karen wasn't listening anymore. She pulled a small envelope from her jacket and threw it at Emily's feet. "You'll regret this. Both of you." Then she ran, disappearing into the dark street before backup arrived. Emily crouched and picked up the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper, an official-looking county form stamped and signed. But the signature wasn't fake this time. It was real. "Wait," I said, looking closer. "That's from the county clerk," Emily frowned. She filed a new HOA petition today. The paper was dated just hours before her arrest. Somehow she'd gotten to someone in the county office. The HOA wasn't just fake anymore. She'd made it real. Emily's face went cold. "This isn't over," she said softly. "She's coming back with backup." We thought she was finished, until the paper proved the HOA was suddenly real. By morning, the whole neighborhood was talking. Half the street believed Karen had finally been taken away for good. The other half whispered that she'd somehow won. When I opened my mailbox, there it was, a brand new letterhead with an official seal. "Welcome to the Oak Ridge Homeowners Association." It looked legitimate, stamped and signed by the county clerk. Emily laid it flat on the kitchen table, her jaw tight. She really did it. "She got the HOA re-registered overnight," I frowned. "How's that possible?" "She was in custody. Someone helped her," Emily said, scanning the signature. "And I think I know who." She pulled up a file on her laptop, a list of county officials she'd once worked with on a fraud task force. One name glowed red. Deputy Clerk Hal Perkins, fired 2 years ago for bribery, rehired last month. Before we could say another word, a knock rattled the door. I opened it to find a man in a neat gray suit, clipboard in hand. "Morning. I'm here to deliver your HOA compliance notice. You'll need to remove that truck from your driveway within 72 hours. I almost laughed. "You've got to be kidding me." He didn't smile. "Non-compliance will result in fines and possible lien placement." "I'm just doing my job, sir." Emily stepped beside me, flashing her badge. "Whose job exactly?" "Because the woman who started this HOA is under federal investigation." The man blinked, uneasy now. I work for the management company she hired. My name's Tom. She told us the neighborhood voted her back in unanimously." "Unanimously?" I repeated. "Funny, I didn't get a vote." Emily's phone buzzed. It was one of her contacts at the bureau. She answered, listening silently, then her eyes darkened. "They just released her," she said. "Claimed wrongful arrest." Tom's face went pale. "She said she'd be back this afternoon to inspect properties." I felt the heat rise in my chest. "She's coming here." Emily shut her laptop and holstered her ID. "Letter. This time we'll be ready. I want every camera rolling." I nodded, already checking the front door cameras. Something told me this wasn't just about control anymore. It was about payback. Hours later, a black SUV pulled up across the street. The door opened and Karen stepped out wearing sunglasses and a smirk, holding a thick folder under her arm. She looked like she'd never been arrested a day in her life. "She brought paperwork," I muttered. Emily's eyes narrowed, and I brought the truth. She came back with new power, real paperwork this time, but she forgot who she was dealing with. Karen strutted up our driveway like she owned the place. Clipboard in hand, fake smile plastered on her face. She spoke loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "Good morning, homeowners. As acting president of the Oak Ridge HOA, I'm here to conduct the first round of compliance checks." Emily didn't move from the porch. She just crossed her arms, calm and steady. "You sure you want to do this again, Karen?" Karen smiled wider. "Oh, I'm not doing anything. The county approved everything. You can call whoever you like, but the documents are official now." She waved the stamped folder. I stepped closer, keeping my voice low. "Karen, you forged that HOA once. You really want to try it twice?" Her eyes gleamed. "This time it's not forged. I've got real signatures, real authority. You don't scare me anymore." Emily held up her phone. "Then you won't mind if I record this?" "You know, for the record," Karen shrugged. "Go ahead. I have nothing to hide." But then something shifted. Across the street, a few of our neighbors stepped outside, quietly filming from their porches. Karen noticed and raised her voice, almost performing. "You see? This is what I mean. They think they're above the rules, but I'm here to bring order back to Oak Ridge." That's when Emily opened the folder she'd been holding all morning. "Funny thing, Karen," she said evenly. "We did some digging of our own. And guess who actually owns this neighborhood's land charter?" Karen frowned. "What are you talking about?" Emily handed her a printed document, stamped and notarized. When the old HOA dissolved 8 years ago, it transferred all administrative rights to the property trust. My husband and I bought that trust last year. Karen blinked, confused. "That's not possible?" "Oh, it's very possible," Emily said, her tone colder now. "Which means every form you filed, every notice you printed is invalid. You've been enforcing rules on land we legally control." The color drained from Karen's face. "You're lying," Emily smiled faintly. "Want to call your county friend and ask?" Right on cue, Emily's phone buzzed again, speakerphone on. A voice from the bureau came through. Agent Harris, the clerk you mentioned, has confessed. He admits to taking bribes from Ms. Carter to re-register the HOA. We're issuing a warrant now. Karen's jaw dropped. He what? The neighbors gasped. Phones lifted higher. She turned to run. But the same black SUV that had taken her before rolled down the street again. Only this time there were 2 county vehicles behind it. I couldn't help it. I smiled. Round 2, Karen. She froze in place, surrounded by flashing lights, reporters' phones, and her own fake rules collapsing in real time. She tried to own our neighborhood, until she realized we owned the land beneath her feet. The agent stepped out, and the moment Karen saw them, her confidence vanished. She tried to stay composed, holding her folder tight like a shield. This is harassment. You can't keep arresting me for paperwork errors. Emily walked down the steps slowly. This isn't about paperwork anymore. It's about fraud, bribery, and trespassing. And this time, you won't talk your way out. Karen looked around desperately. The neighbors were everywhere now, phones out, whispering, recording every second. The same people she used to boss around were watching her unravel in broad daylight. You think they're on your side? She snapped at Emily. They'll turn on you too. They always do. Emily didn't flinch. Maybe, but unlike you, I don't need control to feel important. An agent approached Karen. Ms. Carter, you're under arrest. The county clerk has already given a statement. You've been caught altering official zoning records and filing false property liens. Karen shook her head frantically. No, I did this for them. They needed me. I took a slow step closer. No, you did it for yourself. You wanted power, not order. Her face crumbled for the first time. You don't understand, she whispered, tears cutting through her makeup. I lost everything, my husband, my job. This neighborhood was all I had. For a brief second, I felt something almost like pity. Almost. Emily's voice softened, but it didn't bend. Then you should have built something real instead of pretending to own what wasn't yours. The agent guided her toward the car, reading her rights again. Cameras clicked. Doors closed. And just like that, the woman who terrorized our street was gone for good. But the twist didn't end there. As the agents pulled away, the man from the management company, Tom, approached us nervously. There's something you should see, he said. He handed Emily a file he'd found in the office Karen had been using. Inside were hundreds of letters, fake violation notices, payment receipts, even checks. But one envelope was different. It was addressed to me. Inside was a photo, a drone shot of our house from above, taken weeks before any of this started. On the back, in red ink, it said, "You're not who you say you are either." I felt a chill run down my spine. Emily looked at me sharply. What is this? I shook my head, staring at the writing. I don't know. But I think Karen wasn't working alone. She was gone, but the message she left behind changed everything. Emily turned the photo over again, her expression tightening. This was taken with a high-altitude drone. Whoever did this had clearance. She slid it back into the envelope carefully, as if it might burn her fingers. This isn't Karen's handwriting. I rubbed my temple, trying to steady my breath. So she wasn't the brains. She was the distraction. Before we could say more, my phone buzzed, a restricted number. I answered, expecting one of the agents. But a deep, calm voice said, "Mr. Harris, we need to talk about your wife's file." Then the line went dead. Emily's eyes widened. They said file? We looked at each other. We both knew she'd worked federal cases that were supposed to be sealed forever. Within minutes, 2 of the same agents who'd arrested Karen returned. Only this time their tone was all business. We found something, the taller one said. Karen's records show large payments coming from an untraceable account registered under an old federal contract name. Project Oakhaven. Emily went pale. That project was shut down years ago. The agent nodded. Apparently not. The realization hit me. So this wasn't just a neighborhood scam. It was cover for something bigger. Emily closed her eyes for a second, thinking. She didn't just want control of the neighborhood. She wanted access to the land files tied to Oakhaven. Those files were classified. I felt the air thicken. Then we're standing on federal land. Emily looked up slowly. Maybe that's why she fought so hard to control it. The agent leaned closer. We're securing the area now. You 2 need to stay inside until we finish the sweep. Hours later, the sun dipped behind the trees, flashing red and blue lights against the quiet houses. Drones hummed overhead. The entire block had been locked down. Emily stood beside me at the window watching agents mark the edges of our property. After all that, she said quietly, turns out Karen was just the opening act. I put an arm around her. So what happens now? She took a deep breath. Now? We find out who was really pulling the strings. Outside, the wind carried away the last of the fake HOA signs fluttering into the dark. But on our fence post, one piece of paper stayed pinned, Karen's original notice, the one that started it all. Across the top in red marker, someone had written 3 new words. You were right. I looked at Emily. She gave a faint, knowing smile. Guess the game's still on. Karen's arrest ended the chaos, but the truth under our land had just begun.